Everyone, I am going to see if I can't take a look at your cues. If you do have a question, please feel free, everyone, to post them down in the purple pill, and I will be trying to monitor those as we go along tonight. Can't promise I'll get to all of them because we do have a lot to talk about. But please, if you don't mind, go right ahead and post any questions that you may have in the purple pill. Because we have such a tight agenda tonight and a lot we would like to cover. And I want to introduce Smoke Dog to the Cool family. Um, I don't know that we're going to have a whole lot of time for Q&A, but we are going to cover a broad range of topics. So maybe we can get both in. And if Smoke Dog has to leave after an hour, hopefully we'll be able to keep the conversation going and do a post-game show and expand on some of the things that we talked about here tonight. So let's see, 7:03. Let's give it about one more minute. Smoke, is it all right if I call you Smoke, or do you prefer Smoke Dog?
Smoke is fine.
Smoke is fine. Awesome. Awesome. Well, everyone, if you don't mind, please do retweet the space here one more time before we get started. That way your friends will join us. This is definitely, I can promise you, a space that's going to provide us deep, rich content, a lot of stuff to think about. And I was literally blown away today, just kind of in the pregame discussion with Smoke when we talked, and I think you'll find out soon enough it's going to be a blessing to have attended this conversation. So I think you're going to love it. All right, here we go. We are going to get started. Smoke, if you don't mind, do me a favor. Let me give you an introduction, a proper introduction, if you don't mind, and then I'm going to let you take over and tell the crowd a little bit about yourself. But um, from what I know, you are a veteran researcher and a scholar extraordinaire from my assessment. And I promise you, I don't give accolades out like that casually. Um, you are a deep diver in the digital ecosystem writ large, the monetary system rules, UCC guidelines, um, blockchain architecture. The FedNow is one of your latest, most current passions, how that works, its design and its deployment, um, security, uh, artificial intelligence, and many, many, many other areas. We're obviously not going to be able to get to all of them tonight. One of the things you told me this morning that I loved is you said, Rob, I speak documents. And I literally love that because I know exactly what you mean. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, we were talking earlier. I was explaining to Smoke that what COOL stood for is an acronym for knowledge, understanding, wisdom, and life. And he goes, well, Smoke is an acronym for me as well. And I think you may have seen that on the graphic, but it was kind of blew me away when he told me that, because it's the S is for study, the M is for market trends, the Q or the O is for ongoing research, the K is for knowledge exchange, and the E is for evaluation. And what I loved was the bar of excellence and the humility that Smoke has for himself when he does deep dives, he does digs, and he does research. He vets himself on all five of those standards. And if he doesn't pass his own due diligence bar, then he goes back and makes sure that he's got all the details correct. His research is accurate. He'll check himself, his ego, his intellect, and his homework with friends that he trusts. So I love that. I love that approach to making sure you get it right and holding yourself to such a high standard. So uh, let's get started. Smoke, tell me if you don't mind, in the audience, how long have you been in this research area?
Cryptocurrency specifically, I've made my first Bitcoin purchase end of 2017 at a bear market going into 2018. So around that time, that's when I started pick up some my research more heavily, similar to how I am now. So I would say 2017, 2018 bull cycle vet.
Okay, awesome. And everyone, I asked that question because please do not make the false assumption. If you happen to look at Smoke's profile, and I'm going to highly encourage everyone to please follow him. He is a wealth of knowledge. I love to highlight his research and the way in which he presents it. But even though his, birth certificate date, if you will, on his account is February of 2024 here on X, you just heard that he's been in this space since 2017, and you'll find out soon enough he's a man of deep research, wisdom, and intelligence. I'm going to ask you a broad question, and then we'll get into the more technical stuff. But why do you do what you do? What's the magnetic attraction for you in this space, and why you do the kind of research that you do?
I appreciate that question. Definitely a unique question, and it's something that is on the forefront of my mind every day. Your why. I think that's something that I'm fortunate enough to find at a great part of my life that I feel like is such an opportune time. My why and what drives me and why I continue to do this research on such a deep level is certainly, well, first and foremost, it's something that I'm passionate about: technology, how things work, what are the things that are being hitting from the public view and discussed in private, where are the opportunities, where are the ways that you can, where I could use my potential that could provide a return on investment that I would think is worth it. That was something that's worth my time and my attention. So crypto was certainly something that fit, checked off all the boxes for me, and certainly with sharing the research with others, I would certainly say the mentality that motivates me on that end is certainly, I'm a believer in raising the overall consciousness of the environment that you're in, and that's an overall return on investment for all parties included. So anyone that learns from me that's in the same vicinity as me, they can radiate the same knowledge in a way that can benefit both parties, and that's certainly what keeps me going. I never know what document can hit a certain person that may know something that I may not know, and that kind of that effect is certainly something I want to continue to contribute to by bringing value and hopefully inspiring others to can pass on the kind gesture of sharing information.
Well, brother, I knew that immediately this morning when we started talking, and just for everyone's purposes, this listening, to this conversation, I just felt the spirit move me this morning to reach out. I had seen a tweet that Smoke had put out yesterday, and it struck a chord with me, and I kind of enhanced it a little bit and put some highlights on it, and I retweeted it out. I think I got 19,000 people looking at something that I was just trying to do to amplify your research on, the relationship between Citi and Ripple, and the tiny little nuggets of gold like that give us hope, that give us clarity, that give us confidence, in this long battle, this long regulatory struggle against the machine. Things like that are just they're critical for everybody, for our attitude, for our optimism, for our fatigue factor. So thank you for your abundance mentality and your willingness to share. I really picked that up. First time we ever spoke, ladies and gentlemen, was this morning. I just felt compelled to send him a direct message and invite him on the program, and he was more than generous with his time, and here we are tonight. So you're all benefiting from his generosity. Tell us right now today, what is it that you're most interested in and most focused on? What topic of interest right now has got you?
What I would certainly say with guides most of my research these days, among many other things, is certainly institutional interest in crypto, the crypto asset space, the activity of big major institutions, systemically important banks, the proof of concepts that are happening that are moving into live stage, CBDCs being launched, and the initiatives that are around those. All of those major developments is what's going to truly bring change into this space and truly going to catalyze crypto into to finally living up into the potential that it was originally designed to do from its inception, and that's just provide more efficient value transfer just internationally. And institutions are truly leading this space in many ways, whether you look at on-chain data, whether you look at innovation, whether you look at, just even price movements based on their announcements or anything that they're involved with as far as new projects, new partnerships. Those are truly leading the way as far as adoption. And that's actually going to be the way in which everyone gets what they want on the investor and who is involved in this space. And we'll see this space flourish if they're, have the due diligence to stick around and recognize what's important.
Yeah, indeed, indeed, and probably the biggest or largest institutional enterprise um, on earth is the Federal Reserve, right? FedNow, the U.S. system, the blockheads that are slowing us down to the SEC. But give us your assessment, if you don't mind. How do you envision where FedNow is today, and how critical the importance of FedNow is to overall global adoption and moving the ball forward?
So, if anyone is interested, I posted a few FedNow tweets on my page today. That's pretty much other documents that are about to summarize exactly what I'm saying. But FedNow is currently at about 6%, most likely higher at this point from the most recent updates on its adoption, and that's about 600 banks, and that's currently more than the original RTP rail network that FedNow is supposed to interact with, which is currently at 400 banks. So FedNow's only been active for about a year now, and it's already surpassing the current RTP rails that existed from the clearinghouse. So adoption is currently moving fast, and there's many data points that suggest that by the end of 2024, we're going to be at 50% of FedNow adoption rate within banks. And also on my page, I discussed how when that 50% threshold is reached, that will cause a sense of FOMO that Federal Reserve officials have said that they're looking forward to as well. That is going to advance more FedNow adoption. And there's many things that are within the rules that regulate FedNow within the UCC laws that accommodate digital assets and retail CBDCs and other electronic records of that nature. And FedNow is certainly going to be very fundamental in that aspect, especially related to tokenized deposits. A recent committee hearing at the subcommittees for digital assets in the United States discussed how FedNow can extend its capabilities to DLT via tokenized assets. So FedNow is certainly one of the major United States rails to help catalyze DLT adoption in America as the first instant payment system that we have.
And now, so just to reemphasize this point, you're thinking we'll be at about the 50% mark by the end of this year. And
Yes.
that is pretty much the tipping point or the FOMO where all the other institutions that haven't come on board are going
They're
to
finally going to have incentive to use it.
they're going to panic into the system, or they're going to get
Right.
left behind.
Exactly. You understand.
Yeah. No, I love that. So, do you see anything that might accelerate that timeline, or any boneheaded moves that the regulators, the SEC or CFTC or Fed could do to stop the inevitability of its adoption?
Not nothing that I can see. Certainly after a year and getting more banks than the current RTP networks, and by RTP networks, I mean networks like Zelle or any other same day ACH payment that you can think of. But FedNow is accelerating adoption faster than that, and that's been around for about 20 years, I believe, or 15 to 20 years. And the fact that we're at 6% in a year, and most likely will be at 50% in a year and 6 months. That's how long would it take us to reach 100%? And the only reason adoption is running so smoothly and efficiently with FedNow is because the Federal Reserve has a network that the private sector backed network of RTP just necessarily doesn't have. It's had a unique network. It's connected to 10,000 financial institutions. So all they doing is just reaching out to their network of already established relationships and building FedNow out through that. So everyone's connected to a federal connection is going to be able to connect to FedNow. And I posted on my page as well how the Interledger protocol, which utilizes XRP, can connect to FedNow via IP protocols, just internet-based protocols, which that's what FedNow is, just an internet-based instant payment system.
Yeah, and ILP is absolutely essential. That is the operating necessity to make this happen the way it's happened. What blows my mind is correct me if I'm wrong, Smoke, but what you just told me is it took about a year to get to 6%, and it's going to take less than 6 months for that to grow by a factor of 8, from 6% to 50%.
Right.
And so to go the next 50%, I mean, we're talking, spring of 2025, we should be close to maximum adoption.
It's mid 2025 or 2026, most likely.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. That is. So in the big scheme of things, we're going to have CBDCs. We're going to have, in essence, stable coins, which are kind of basically identical cousins, if you will. We're going to have, hopefully, legislation passed before the end of this year as far as stable coin regulation on the wholesale side. It looks as if there's issues that are not looking good for Tether and looking extremely good for Circle and the real USD, the Ripple's stable coin. Tell me how you see that 6 to 50% adoption at FedNow impacting, let's say, a favorable regulation for Ripple USD and the adoption, and how that can help bridge all of this debt that apparently in the de-dollarization trend that's taking place around the world, a lot of debt's going to be coming home to the United States and somebody's going to need it. Looks like an entity like Circle and Ripple are going to need a lot of bonds and treasuries and U.S. debt to back their stable coin. What say you?
I can certainly see that. Certainly, tokenization is going to play a major role in just redistributing debt, fractionalizing debt, and loaning out for liquidity to help pay off that debt. Certainly, Stellar, I don't know if you're familiar with Stellar, they are tokenizing U.S. Treasuries with Franklin Templeton currently, so they're certainly going to be one of the winners on that space. Ripple, tokenizing all forms of value, so they're certainly going to get a chunk of that as well. But when things like FedNow occurs, you're going to not having to hold so much liquidity to facilitate transactions and freeing up those accounts that hold those extra capital for transactions. FedNow is going to help with that a lot as well. So the liquidity that's going to be saved there is going to lead to a major cost saving mechanisms for banks and financial institutions that are FedNow enabled. So I think that can certainly play a part into what I would say is certainly keeping the United States afloat for a short-term amount of time, short to medium term. De-dollarization is certainly happening, and I would say the symbolic way currently, even though there's many instances of the dollar being completely dropped, like in replaced for like the yuan or the renminbi or any other popular currency, but yuan specifically. But de-dollarization and debt reorganization is certainly a major theme going into 2025 as well. But de-dollarization and any other major I would say financial stability events regarding the U.S. dollar, I believe those are things that's going to be certainly kicked down the road with just any other the financial legislative tricks that the U.S. government still has up their sleeve.
Indeed. Yeah. We spoke about this a little bit earlier today, but it's speculation at best. I don't know if you've read any documentation on this, but again, we talked about the difference between a Federal Reserve note and a U.S. Treasury dollar. One is a debt instrument issued by the Federal Reserve, which is a privately owned entity, a non-governmental organization, and one is the Treasury of the United States of America, which is a completely different entity that's supposed to be issuing, debt assets, if you will, backed by gold and silver. As we begin to, if all the other nations in BRICS, and there's a bunch more joining in October, I believe about 59 or 60 nations in October will be joining the 15 or so nations at BRICS with BRICS right now. The trend is de-dollarization and sovereign currency and sovereign commodities backing sovereign national currencies. It seems to me it's pretty logical. America is going to have to issue its own sovereign national currency, a true US dollar, which is something very different than a Federal Reserve note. When they begin to do that, do you see a tokenization and an opportunity for Ripple XRP on the retail and on the wholesale level as that transition takes place?
Certainly. The relationships with the federal government is already set with the IMF, with the Bank of International Settlements, with Ripple is extremely extensive and goes back a significant amount of time. And XRP having the rails being laid all throughout Swift and FedNow. This is something that I've studied extensively in the past, but you can cross-reference all of the technology providers for FedNow and Swift, and I can just give you an estimate, a good 60 to 70% of those tech providers are Ripple enabled somewhere. So Ripple did a really good job of partnering with tech providers that connect to thousands of institutions internationally with some of the biggest payment systems in the world, i.e. Swift, i.e. FedNow, which is supposed to be FedWire on steroids, which FedWire, if anyone doesn't know, transacts over $1 quadrillion a year. That's, unfathomable amount of money transacted that FedNow is supposed to enhance that, with cross-border transactions and international transfers, and being a digital system, a digital first system that can use payment tokens and digital assets. I have a diagram on my page as well that shows how systems like FedNow can use digital assets and payment tokens, and the Uniform Commercial Code that governs FedNow on a state level. There's amendments that allow digital assets to be used. So certainly when FedNow is finally upgraded to do international transactions, because that's one of the main anticipated features of FedNow, a digital asset like XRP will certainly be a great option, being as though the relationships are set already, and it would simply work in the system as it's intended to.
$250 billion, or we're talking $250 trillion. Is that correct?
Cross-border transactions, yeah.
Cross-border, 250 trillion. So let's drive this point home. This is for newbies and for folks that have been in this industry, studying this for quite a long time. But are you aware of any other, I just want to clear the air. Is there any other utility token that can be this utility bridge token that immediately has the convertibility technology that XRP has to immediately do basically atomic settlement of a Japanese yen into gold or US dollar into a German mark with 3 to 5 second atomic settlement and very low cost? Is there any other technology solution that can even compete with Ripple in that regard?
Not that I know of, respectfully, to all the other crypto assets. But XRP is certainly positioned in an extremely unique spot to address one of the main use cases of crypto, and that's payments. Payments is one of the original, I would just say, main focuses of cryptocurrency in general, just being able to transact, just the word currency being in the word, just being associated with payments so much, so many use cases that we discuss now and future theorize intentions of blockchain, but what's the thing that we do every day and that we need to do on a simple level when we wish it didn't cost as much to transfer from app to bank account, and we wish we could just do it easier and everyone didn't have trouble with it. And that's, payments and money, something that can be overly complicated that crypto simplifies in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I say this to my bride and friends that 98% or 99% are just, their eyes roll back. They don't even know how to have an engaging conversation on this topic. But tell me if you believe this statement is valid, that XRP is an idea that's foreign. It's such a new idea to all of humanity that it's almost unimaginable in its essence, its purpose, and the value that it's going to bring to the world. Is that an overstatement or is that an accurate statement?
I think that's a very accurate statement, and I would even, it sounds, I would say, just too big of an idea to conceive until you think about something like the internet. The only reason we're speaking is because of the internet. Without the internet, there would be very unlikely that we would cross paths, even if we had similar interests. Understand, to speak in this way, to hear each other's voices, to send documents in between each other, screenshots, all of that is an immense capability that wasn't possible 30 years ago, 20 years ago. Those are all things that was not even, things that was discussed in sci-fi films or the most futuristic, pieces of media from the 60s, 70s, just about how the future would be. And the internet is something that very few documents, the current state of the internet is at a state that very few documents at that time period even conceived it to be. And, we're still discovering new use cases for the internet. People are still getting online. Some people don't use the internet at all. And that's the current state of the internet. I would certainly say at a shorter period of time, crypto will certainly show its as much as a use case, and as much as I would say how we can't truly imagine our lives without the internet. Crypto will find a way to wiggle its way in our lives like that as well, being an internet-based technology.
I've often, amen. I agree 1,000% with what you just said. I've also tried to put my head around the fact that, the original internet was about voice and data.
Mm-hmm.
This is about value. Do you have a rough estimate of how much larger the world of value is versus the first 25 plus years of the internet, where it was basically just video and voice and data?
Honestly, it's really interesting that we're even discussing this, because an institutional webinar that I was just watching within the last few days was discussing this exact topic, how they decide to invest in blockchain unicorns, and what is their rationale and thesis behind investing in unicorns like Ripple and other companies of that sort. And they mentioned Ripple specifically. And the one distinction that he made, which still I still think about, is that Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, they provide like entertainment content, streaming services that has nothing to do with money. That of course they do things on the side, but they're not banks. They're not really focused on improving the payment system, not focused on improving the way value moves. They just focus on improving the way their service gets to their customers and loyal consumers. But when we talk about companies like Ripple and Stellar that are focusing on more important, more serious use case like payments, like moving value, like tokenization, when you compare that to the most valuable companies in the world, like Microsoft at 3 trillion or Apple at 2 trillion in market cap, those are the most valuable companies in the world. We don't know of any other company more valuable than those companies. And companies like Ripple and companies like Stellar are solving an issue that is bigger than the market caps of all of these companies put together. So when you think of the valuation of a company that focuses on a use case like payments and value, as opposed to content, video, services, the level is already higher than the most valuable companies of today, and who wouldn't have loved to get into Apple or Amazon or Microsoft before their true potential was revealed to the world.
That is, yeah, NVIDIA, just shot up there as a top number one company, I think. But to reemphasize what you just said, this institutional investor conference that you were just listening to a few days ago, they're saying that the companies like Ripple and Stellar are potentially more valuable than, say, the top 100
I would take it further.
combined.
They have to be.
They have
They
to.
have to be more valuable than those companies because it focuses on something that is transacts a lot more valuable than, I would say, all of the items sold on Amazon. You can compare that to the billions of dollars of transactions that happen today that Ripple is trying to facilitate and make more efficient. So the problem that they're focusing on, the people that they're solving those problems for, is a lot more complex, and I feel like this is a philosophy that most people can understand: is the bigger the problem, the bigger the reward.
Right.
When you come to a solution for it. So Ripple is definitely targeting a way larger, complex, international, geopolitical, new technology emerging issue, as opposed to Amazon that was, basically built off the internet, and, has some foresight to see how services would develop in the United States as far as delivering things like that. Shout out to Jeff Bezos, but the issue that XRP is focusing on is 100 times more, I would say, impactful than retail, item shopping online, e-commerce, and things of that nature.
Wow. Wow. Well, the logical next question for me, Smoke, and thank you for that. I think sometimes we need that stun gun of reality to just really let people take it in, adopt that character of stance of patience, and realize that, A, it's not our plan, it's not our timing, but patience is a virtue, and what's coming our direction is hard to wrap our heads around. So we need to oftentimes get over ourselves. And I know everybody's tired and everybody's like, when moon. I think it's just kind of as much as I'd love it to happen tomorrow, it's kind of an immature question, because what's coming is bigger than we can get our heads around, and we're going to be a part of it. So, but that the next logical question goes to the importance of security, the adoption and the trust and the utilization, and the average retail person, as well as the corporate adopters and the banks. Security has to be like oxygen. It just has to be assumed. Where are we in the state of, from your assessment, where are we in the state of security for cryptocurrencies and real-time payments and payment transfers? I noticed Apple, in its iOS 18's already got tap to pay with XRP Rails sort of built into its iOS system. That's just one data point. Give us your assessment on the state of security in this industry.
Well, when I think of security, the first thing I think about is identity. And for people who are aware of that this digital IDs are on the way, they're likely going to coincide with CBDCs and government wallets and any other public system that the payment system that they create is going to run on DLT Rails. But to access these systems with crypto technology, there's a concept called zero knowledge proofs. Are you familiar with that?
I am.
Yeah, zero knowledge proof. So once we develop a digital identity system where it's based in zero knowledge proofs, and you really don't have to volunteer much information except tap a button and confirm that you are who you say you are, just based on the fact that you already authenticated a wallet securely in a regulated manner. Once you do all those things and you have that zero knowledge proof to access public services, federal services, and the services is underpinned by crypto technology, I think that's going to be the part, because we currently don't have many consumer protections regarding crypto technology. In a lot of ways, crypto is still viewed as real estate from the IRS, from from banks and institutions. It's not really valued as a financial asset yet, even though we're almost there. We're right on the doorstep of that becoming a reality. But at this current moment, there's not much consumer protection regulation, which is, like you were saying earlier, security. I would throw consumer protection security like right underneath the bank security. That's if your consumers aren't safe to bank with you, you pretty much don't have a basis to convince anyone to use your financial institution. So once we have a digital identity system and regulations in place to ensure consumer safety from utilizing crypto-based services, that is when I believe crypto security will be sufficient enough for retail. And certainly, it's on the way as well. Like I don't see it being too far out either.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be assumed second nature, and almost people don't even want to have to think about it. They're just going to have to know that it works and not have any bad experiences with it not working. And that's let me back up just a minute. I got a great question from Josie. She's watching the video right now, and don't know if you know this or not, but she's saying, look, FedNow is an agency, right, of the government, and UCC covers the statutes, the rules, the guidelines for these agencies. How will this Chevron reversal affect those regulations and the authority for Congress to outsource regulation on FedNow to regulators instead of writing the laws themselves? Have you thought through that?
Yeah, so I would say first thing that I would just want to just remind Josie that thanks for the question. So FedNow is a federal a settlement service from the federal government. It in itself isn't an agency, and UCC is the laws that govern FedNow transactions that pretty much provide legal security and legal protection while doing payments from peer to peer or business to customer payments. I personally don't think the Chevron reversal will impact the regulation because UCC laws are currently already being adopted by all 50 states. UCC laws are governed by state, they're not federal laws. So that's the sneaky thing about UCC laws, is that they, in a way, circumvent the federal government from, even if they ban federal CBDC, state CBDC that is governed by UCC laws that is can be transacted in between states is completely allowed within the confines of UCC. And there's even politicians speaking about how UCC current amendments paved the way for a United States CBDC already without even any government intervention. So I don't really see the Chevron reversal decision impacting that as it's currently underway right now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clearing that up. I appreciate it. Great question, Josie. Thank you. All right, because time is sort of the essence, and I want to get as many of these questions in as I can, and I feel like we're just skimming over the surface. And
Oh no, I think they're doing good time, man. They're doing good.
We're gonna have to have you back. How are you personally using AI, and what role do you see AI enhancing this new digital ecosystem and cryptocurrency in the lives of just everyday retail users? Give us a couple of scenarios where these two worlds that are both game-changing technologies might actually combine and help us do things that, again, we've never even fathomed in our minds. Have you thought that through?
Oh yeah, for sure, certainly. So, well, the first part of your question was how do I personally use AI?
Yes.
And I use ChatGPT as often as I can. When it first became public, it was something that if you're into anything futuristic or modern, AI was coming, or most people didn't think it was coming this fast. And even from its release till now, the adoption has been way higher than anticipated. It's been truly unprecedented in the way that people are using it, and it's just large language models is being adopted in all kinds of technology. But just based on that fact alone, how relevant AI is going to be, I just jumped in head first, used it as much as I can. played around with it, and now it's just a regular part of my research. I use it to summarize complicated tech documents, make logical conclusions off of chart data. Interpreting data is really important. Sometimes it's a graph full of 100 numbers that is discussing crypto adoption and the rate in which it's happening, and the AI breaks it down for me so I can understand it in a way to cross-reference with other pieces of documents. But AI is really intertwined with the blockchain adoption movement, and AI is so basically when you think about blockchain, you should think that it has a lot of data that comes with each transaction, data that needs to be manipulated, data that needs to be stored, data that needs to be retrieved for certain purposes and things of that nature. So currently we don't have digital money, even though it feels like with all these digital wallets, we currently have electronic money. And the under the undertaking that's currently happening is a shift from electronic money to digital money. And digital money means programmable payments. So a current issue, a dilemma that I would say the majority of people deal with, that I would say living paycheck to paycheck, is that sometimes I would say you may have your bills on auto payment, and sometimes if you don't have all the money in your bank account, it could lead your bank account to the negative because the payments are automatic electronically. However, if you have digital payments, you could program your bank account, which would be powered by AI and programmable, crypto tokens, where you could say an hour after I get paid, take out the mortgage, the food money, and the kids allowance. So it's not so you don't have to anticipate you going into negatives when the money's taken out already, and that's only possible with programmable payments and AI that can go into your bank account, identify transactions, or identify the place you work at, when you get paid, which transaction is a paycheck and how much money to take out at what time exactly. And that's not currently capabilities that traditional bank accounts have. And when we have wallets and things of that nature, AI is going to give people capabilities that they never thought they would have, with just even if they don't make a lot of money, they can manipulate their money in a more comfortable way.
Right. I think of just very rudimentary, basic little things like, instead of making your mortgage payment once a month, what have you made it 1/30th of each day? How much
Right.
time would that take off the interest and the time spent on a mortgage? If you made a 1/30th payment every day, you might pay your mortgage off in 21 years instead of 30,
Right.
just because
Yeah.
you've got less debt outstanding for a shorter period of time. So that's just one of a zillion different options of the way AI. I mean, talk about temporary trade workers that can be paid, by the hour, right? I mean, they're out working, and every hour that goes by, they're on the clock. They're getting, it's insane how
Right.
how payments are going to be able to, because it's going to be so nominally close to free. It's going to open up all kinds of windows for sure. Okay, institutionally, what do you see from the macro trend? Employees, revenues. The pyramid of the bank. You take away the bottom 80% of that pyramid, where they're making so much in fees and interest and revenue and junk, if you will, the fat that's in these banks. 80% of that pyramid base looks like it's going to disappear, and with it, 80% of the need for employees or more, and 80% of the corporate real estate need. Uh, what other unintended kind of consequences are the banks going to see with the efficiencies of adopting this new technology going to bring us?
For one, more experts on this technology is going to be needed. That's a big barrier right now with just the evolving purpose of banks, the evolving purpose of credit unions. You're just going to need people who understand how to work blockchain technology, which most banks aren't equipped with, if not majority of banks. Only banks that have the capability of even hiring a team of blockchain researchers is a bank with the capital to deploy. So like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, just major banks that have the capital to invest invest on things like that. So more blockchain researchers for sure. Less physical banks is going to be another byproduct of just crypto payments and AI representative. There's many studies that have shown that just in customer service, AI can outperform a human at the same task, the same amount of time, if not more efficient, at serving the needs of a bank customer. I would say on top of that, it's going to be, I would just say, a repurpose of how money is viewed, just in the way that it's going to be more programmable. It's not going to be something that I would just say comes and goes. It's going to be something that you're going to be able to, like I said earlier, manipulate in a way that's more comfortable fitting for your life. And that certainly goes into all of the other financial capabilities that is made possible with crypto. When we start discussing things like DeFi, which is a new form of passive income that is going to allow just all of the switches and levers of Wall Street that allow them to access enormous amounts of passive income just on with very little effort. That's going to be that same passive income capability is going to be put in the hands of retail, and that's going to only be capable from crypto by getting outsized APYs and returns from just modest modest investments.
Yeah, I saw something 2 days ago on my feed that MIT just released 8 brand new courses for free. They're pretty in-depth courses on the basics of algorithms, how to do programming, entrepreneurial startups, how to do a business plan, wealth management, computer science. But the educational component that so many people are going to need in order to reskill themselves and just have a completely different mindset about their relationship with money, their relationship with credit, becoming their own bank. When there's I use it as a tongue-in-cheek joke, there's a lot of people that can't spell bank. And a lot of people are going to have to become their own damn banker real fast.
Right.
So yeah. So let me ask you this philosophically: if you could wave a magic wand and there was one thing that you wished for the general public with regards to crypto and understanding what's coming, what advice would you give the average normie out there to get their head on straight and take steps to prepare for this brave new world?
I would certainly say it's just one thing I wish everyone could realize is that this is your chance. That's the first thought that comes to mind. That was certainly my first thought when I thought about crypto and just getting into space in general, is that if you're tired in the way the government works, if you're tired of things that you believe is unfair, or you didn't get a fair shake at life, or you think that getting wealth is a impossible, unattainable thing for you, or you think that you don't have the skill set to make a lot of money, crypto is certainly a space where there's very few barriers. You're rewarded for as much as effort that you put into this space. Crypto is certainly something that's going to be a big slap in the face to institutions who weren't ready, to incumbents that are relying on traditional rails and believe that their way is going to work. And just like, there was blockbusters that were replaced by streaming and Netflix and things of that nature, there's going to be banks that are going to be completely things of the past because they refuse to adopt this technology. And when that moment finally happens, when that finally is obvious to everyone, the financial opportunity is going to be gone. When there's currently thousands of people on the internet right now crying at low prices, it's a green sign to anyone who hasn't gotten to this space yet and truly wants to, even if they feel like they're late, to truly change around their financial situation by just learning something that's interesting, learning something that's going to be extremely relevant, extremely significant to our existence just as much as the internet. And I feel like you don't even need to be a wordsmith or a complete tech historian to understand the immense impact of the internet, and everyone that uses it can understand that, and everyone that has access to it sees it and benefits of it and enjoys it. And truly thinks of it as this ubiquitous existence when it's just a technology. It's just something that, was created one day and many people saw an opportunity in it and built upon that and built businesses and sold items off of it. And crypto is going to be something, and that I would go as far as to say is going to be 100x opportunity as the internet, AI in the same category, quantum computing in the same category. There's so many things that are at ground level before adoption that you don't have to be extremely rich to get into this space and put your time, effort, and energy, and a little bit of capital, and spend some years in this space, and you'll definitely be rewarded with the knowledge, with the positivity that comes with knowing that you're putting your future in your own hands. You're not leaving it in the government's hands. You're taking charge and um, taking agency in your own life, and you're doing the right things, and you're doing something that's going to have a overwhelmingly positive ROI. That's time is something that I spoke about earlier, that I told you is our that I believe is our most important currency, and
Yes.
crypto was something that I could see the time being worth the effort. I could see, okay, if I put this much time in, this is what could lead me, and that's something that I feel like that's not something how people view opportunities. They usually view opportunities with a dollar sign attached to it, not as what how much time do I have to put into this? How much peace of mind do I have to lose for this? How much sleep do I have to lose for this opportunity? What's going to be the ROI and the end of this opportunity? Most people look at, the fame that comes with something, or the recognition, or the money that they see at the end of the tunnel, but all of those things is not worth it if you spend your time miserable beforehand, if you spent your time not learning a valuable skill, if you spent your time not gaining wisdom in a valuable way, instead of just chasing, engagement or recognition or likes, or cheap money. All of those things are worthless when you're existing and spending your time on this earth in a way that is not sitting right with your soul and your spirit. So not to get too spiritual and philosophical, but I feel like that's what a lot of things come down to. The person that you can deal with, when you're by yourself, when you look in the mirror, when you're in the dark room, who is the person that you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with that person, doesn't matter how much money you have, or any other possession or materialistic, achievement that you may view as significant. Um, just that mental existence, that mental confirmation that you spent your time in a good way, and you're currently spending your time in a good way, and intend to spend your time in a way that's productive for your future skills, for your future safety, for your future prosperity. When you recognize and understand you spent your time in a productive way, and bear the fruits of your own labor, and especially something like crypto, be extremely, I would say, just more satisfied with the progress you made in your life in a asset space like crypto.
Smoke, brother, we are brothers from a different mother. I can tell you that right now. And everyone, before I ask the next question, if you're listening to this, please be very intentional about following Smoke if you're not already. His research, his mindset, his values are just so absolutely spot on perfect for all of us. I mean, I say this all the time, Smoke. There's a big difference between, riches and wealth. If you're wealthy, that very well may include riches. Okay, if we humble ourselves, we do the work, we put the time in, we surround ourselves with smart people, we understand the 100x or 200x potential for this new technology, and we embrace it and we dive into it, we can become multi-generationally wealth. Our great 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 grandkids will thank us and never meet us. But all the money in the world, all the riches in the world can't stop someone from being a complete asshole, or being humble, or being wise, or being kind, or abundant, or compassionate, and giving, and purposeful, and intentional. So I would I love your humility. I love your advice. I love the fact that you got your head on straight, man. I really do appreciate that. Um, I want to be very respectful of your time. We're coming up here on an hour. What would you like the audience to know? Where would you like to take this conversation instead of me just asking all the questions? What would you like everyone to know?
For anyone that's been following me for a while, and Rob, you as well, I would I would hope everyone notices that I put a intentional and specific emphasis on the institutional presence in this space currently, the arrival of institutions, their contributions, the way that they're leading the space, how they're on the forefront of. I would just say being creative as far as bringing these utility tokens and crypto-based solutions to the market. It's paramount to me what institutions are doing. It's paramount to me that they publish documentations that are saying their outlooks, shows their research, shows what they're looking at, the data points. Um, it's fascinating to me how among institutional documents there's patterns, there's repeated phrases, there's repeated partnerships. Um, I feel like something that most people don't realize is the consistency with regulation approving as ISO assets, and that they always happen to be ISO assets, and regulation always includes them. It's simply you just not a pattern that you shouldn't ignore. And if anyone is wondering how like what ISO at crypto asset adoption looks like, that's pretty much it. It's just pretty much Ripple, Stellar, Algorand, Quant, XDC, just being at the having the first being the first choices picked for various issues in the financial market. They're always the first things being chosen because they're regulated on such an international basis. And seeing the institutions interact with these already regulated, chosen ISO assets is something that I believe is just the cheat code to this entire crypto game. Because when anyone gets into the space, they want to know what's the best idea, what's the best asset, what's something that's going to get the best return on your investment. And these ISO assets are literally chosen from international boards, international teams, where you really couldn't go wrong from looking at an opportunity that's going to be there for a while, something that's going to be integrated, that's going to be used for a long time. Something when you think of the HTTPS protocols that secure every website, that's something that one time was implemented and never was thought about thought about being changed. And that's how a lot of these systems are going to be put in place. They're just going to be put in place one day and they're just going to be left like that because it works efficiently. It's the most regulated, it's the most battle tested, it's the most secure network that doesn't go down, and it's going to be implemented within the financial system, within the internet, and it's going to be extremely valuable. And institutions leading the way on this price action, on this bull cycle, is what I would certainly would like everyone to take away from this conversation, take away from me, just the focus that I have. And just even recently, I've seen documentations that, believe it or not, institutions have crypto equations to measure how and when they invest into the crypto market space, which is correlated with the crypto price action. Now, that's just a level of diligence into the space that only years of time could get you to, and that's where I've recently had my mind at. So if you've been wondering how deep institutions are into this space, they time the market with precise accuracy. They have equations. They have teams of hundreds of people that are well paid, that are specialized in sniping this market and pinpointing opportunities. So finding the same opportunities as them, using the same resources as them, and navigating the space with their publications is certainly how I see the opportunities in this space, and I encourage everyone else to do the same.
Smoke, man, that is the wisdom of Solomon. I mean, if I tell people this all the time, the ISO coins, the top 10 coins, if you combine first mover advantage with the highest level of regulatory scrutiny and standards with an industry that's going to be 100 or 200 times bigger than anything anyone's ever experienced, I mean, there's enough work there to spend the next 5 years learning all you need to learn. And unless you got an extra $1 million or $2 million to invest in each of those top 10 coins, you don't really need to look much further than those top 10 ISO projects, and that's my take. Sometimes people get overwhelmed at the idea of thinking they've got to boil the ocean and they've got to learn everything about this industry, and there's too many coins to even get their head around. I try to break it down as simply and as plainly as I possibly can. So it's a bite size degree of focus where people feel like they don't have to give up. They can begin to study and learn one project a week, and in 10 weeks they've learned the top 10 projects, right? I mean, it's
Right.
that simple, and you learn the top 10 projects at a conversational level, you're probably in the 1% club as far as humanity is concerned, right?
Easily on the knowledge level for
On
sure.
the knowledge level. So everyone that's listening to this conversation, we all have the blessing and the ability to pay it forward, to be an educator, to be an influencer, to be a leader, and to be an encourager, to help people, at least whet their appetite and let them put it in a context the individual you're speaking to can relate to. Like, feed them the food at the level of maturity that you deem they have. If it's steak and wine, give them steak and wine. If it's peanut butter and jelly, if it's mashed potatoes, if it's applesauce, like a little infant, give them
Hmm.
give them a little bit based on their ability to consume that amount of information, and keep them wanting more instead of just blowing them off and ignoring them and saying, they're too stupid or we're too smart or we don't have the time. I think just one of the greatest things that we can do is try to the best of our ability is bring as many people along with us as we can. Um, what say you about that?
I agree. That's pretty much a big reason why I'm here is to show that these concepts aren't as difficult and complicated as one may believe. I believe that this space is moving at a specific pace, at its own pace that has been fueled by technological development with the advancement of the internet, with just social developments. And, a lot of the research I do is from the research of, financial institutions. So, from someone that's getting to the space new, I would certainly tell them that people have done the homework for you already. You just have to find it. You have to find the homework that other people are doing, and then find the opportunity that you can also take advantage of. Because like I was just another example. There's airdrops and token unlocks that boost the price of tokens. I've seen an institutional document recently where they pretty much like mapped out all of the crypto price, the crypto token releases for the next month, and which should spark price action and which tokens may go up a certain percentage. And things like that remind me that this space has truly came a long way. And the resources that institutions have and the resources that they're going to use to take advantage of this, we can use those same resources and take advantage of those same opportunities, as opposed to, early Bitcoin days when no one knew when it was going to go up or no one knew it was going to go down, or we didn't have any indicators for it. And, there wasn't many metrics or factors that we knew influenced the price or any projections for the space. And now we have the history, the data, the resources, AI, to facilitate just sound research and a sound um, just investment thesis on this space by using the resources around you, and allowing it and contextualizing for yourself and understanding how you specifically can take advantage of the opportunities near you.
Smoke, I want to thank you, my friend. I think that is as high a note as we could leave this conversation. I know we could go on for hours, but uh, I'm grateful. I just feel blessed that we met. And thank you for taking my call, and thank you for investing your time with, I think we had over 1,600 people on this call with about 3 hours of notice of this space even happening. So everyone, please do me two favors. Make sure you're following Smoke, and please make sure you share this space. Give this space as a gift to as many people as you can, and encourage them. Just have their favorite beverage, have a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, some iced tea, and just listen. We didn't get techie. We didn't get crazy. No one needs a calculator to listen to this conversation. But if they'll listen to this conversation, they'll never be able to unhear this conversation. And people need to know what they don't know. So, Smoke, thank you, my friend. I would love to have you on again here in the not too distant future.
Yeah, for sure. And, shout out to the 1,700 people watching. Definitely glad that people were here to listen, and hopefully everyone learned from it. And for sure, definitely would be down to do this again, Rob. You have a nice, genuine platform here. I love the energy here. I love the focus and the flow that we had going on here, and wouldn't mind doing it again. Definitely appreciate you for hosting this and inviting me onto your platform. I'm always down to talk about the most relevant things that I believe that most people should be paying attention to, and definitely always down to share and talk about it.
And everyone, I promise you, my viewers, my cool family, next time we do this, we'll probably do a traditional uh, spaces so that you can ask questions. We can interact more often. I can call you up on stage. You can grab a microphone, and it'll be more of a tabletop type of a discussion. But I just wanted to introduce Smoke to the world, be respectful of his time, get this first interview behind us, and nothing but bluer skies ahead. So thank you again, Smoke. Godspeed, brother, and we'll speak soon.
Enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, Ben. You as well. Take care, everyone. I will post this on my YouTube channel. I'll post it on my Rumble channel, and hopefully this will be immediately available on X as well, so you can reshare this recording. Thank you, everyone, for your support. So grateful for you all being here. Godspeed. And tomorrow night, I'll be with Ian Carroll, ABC, and we are going to have an amazing space, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. It is, please join us. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.